Hi, my name is Peter Anderson. I am the founder of Anderson Family Therapy. We have these question and answers that are pretty informal. Herman is going to be asking me questions.
Hello.
And there he is. I know you can't see his face, but I hope in the future we can get even more questions from the audience. And Herman's just going to be asking me 3 random questions.
So, if someone approached you and they knew what you did for work and they asked you, "How can I save my marriage?" What is, how do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, are you going to give me a vodka tonic or a gin and tonic? Okay. So, can you at least offer me a drink? No, because that's why I don't tell people I'm a marriage counselor when I'm out in public, because they'll come right at you. So I would say, don't worry about your partner at all. Don't worry about them at all. And I would say, put 100% of all of your energy in improving yourself for 1 month. Like, don't even worry about them and see how it goes. And I actually take that approach as a guy named Dan Siegel. He's got a really good parent. He's got a very good model called PET-C, or Pragmatic Emotional Therapy for Couples, I think it's called. And he talks about how if you can put all your energy in self-improvement, both of you will drastically improve. And what he means by that is that even if you worked on, I'm going to take better care of myself, I'm going to state my needs in a clearer way because I've been way too passive aggressive, I'm going to come home earlier and just play with my kids because I haven't been doing that, for years. I'm going to treat my wife or treat my husband with kindness instead of lashing back at them. If you focus all your energy on how you would like to be a better person in 29, 30 days, and you put all your energy there, I almost guarantee that you're going to have a better marriage. I just do. And if you don't, then at least you've tried. At least you've tried. So what I often tell people is don't even worry about them. What a lot of couples will do is that they'll put so much energy. My partner doesn't do this. My partner doesn't do that. And they're exerting all of their energy there rather than just focusing on themselves. And what's nice is that after 29, 30 days, if you're a better person, great, keep going. And you will actually become a better partner in the long run. Yeah.
What are 3 things you wish people knew before they got married?
Ooh, I like that. The person is not going to radically change the day the wedding bells sing. So if things really, really, really irritate you now to the point where you're really questioning the foundation of the relationship, I would say get help ASAP. Because what a lot of couples will do, and I don't know which gender is more guilty of this, but I would say both of them are. But if I could take a risk here, more women I talk to have a belief, I don't know where it stems from, that I could possibly change my husband once I marry him. And that's just not true. And so I think that's the first thing. If there are things that he does or she does that you're really questioning already whether or not I should get married to this person, I would say either end it or get help on what that issue is. I think if many couples knew that you really can't change people, then you probably would see a lot less people getting married. I think the second thing, I know, call me a traditionalist, but I don't think I'm being a traditionalist. I think how your partner treats their parent is key. I would say that if you see him really treating his mom really, really disrespectfully, that's huge. That's a huge red flag. And the reason why is because he hasn't gone through the process of what I would call exoneration. And so Daniel Siegel, and is really good, and he's got this great book called Parenting from the Inside Out, and he talks about how we will likely replicate our parents in our lives. We'll model exactly what we had in our childhood to our own kids. And so he said, the only way that you can free yourself from that is a process of exoneration. And exoneration is like, okay, I get mom and dad, even though they drove me crazy, but I get them and I release my anger from them, and I'm gonna have a healthier relationship. Every single person that has chosen to do that are just so much more able to have a secure bond with their partner. If I understand that there are exceptions, there are certain parents that are like really abusive. I'm not talking about that. I'm more talking about, for the most part, good parents who kind of drive you crazy sometimes. You really want to make sure that your spouse, or you want to see how they treat their mom and dad, because that's going to be a huge red flag on how they treat you. I do believe that, and I've just seen it over and over again. And I would say the third is, how much insight do they have on their own, limitations. And so if they're very resistant to any type of influence, that's also a red flag, I would say. Like, can they hear you call them out on their BS and be okay with that? And if they can, you've got a gem. So I would say if you find somebody that, knows how to do all three of those things, you've got a pretty good partner. You've got a very good partner. In the sense of like, there are not things that are huge red flags. For the most part, they treat their parents really respectfully, and they let you call them out. They let you call them out on their bullshit. You've got a pretty good relationship there.
What are some skills for a healthy romance?
Ooh. Well, number one, I would say practice having sex. I know that's not what people always want to hear. A lot of my couples who've been married for a very long time, they get very discouraged because they haven't had sex in a while, because they're expecting sex to be like what it was when they first got married. And those couples often don't make it when it comes to romance. Couples that actually, I know it sounds really boring, but they schedule sex, not necessarily put it on the calendar, but they expect that intimacy is going to be a part of their weekly routine. They're just happier. And so I know it's not necessarily what people want to hear, but it's the fact of life. The longer you've been married, it's harder sometimes to get turned on. It just takes a while. So I would just say it's very good to communicate. Communicate what you want. Communicate what really turns you on. I noticed a lot of couples are almost embarrassed to do that. They don't communicate a lot to their partner when the partner's maybe pleasuring them or trying to pleasure them, and it like really hurts them. For example, I've had clients where she was actually she was actually in pain for 3 or 4 years, but she never told her husband. And I met with her individually and just really encouraged her to tell her husband. She did, and he was baffled. He didn't even know. So it's very important that you really communicate what feels really good and what doesn't feel good. A lot of couples don't do that. A lot of couples just have the act. It almost seems like work, and then they kind of move on. So I know it seems like I'm saying two different things, but it's good that you really schedule it so you don't like put it on the back burner for too long. And number two, you really want to make sure you're communicating what you need. If you like this question and answer, I'd love to hear back from you. Please leave some comments in the comment section, and we'll try to see if we can get your questions next time. Thank you so much for listening.